theological aspect to it, there's also the very important social aspect to it. So it's multi-dimensional, so it's highly emotional. It's dealing with people's lives, with people's values, beliefs, aspirations, and struggles. And I think, however and whatever people feel about it, that feeling is quite visceral. So people tend to take very strong positions on this, and you could be on either side of the debate. And I think a sensible and a responsible religious guidance and leadership has to take into account all these nuances and complexities and considerations. So it's not black and white.
But there are people who will say that it is black and white because they would consider it a sin. And what do you say to that position, that it is as simple as that?
These opinions, I suspect, are held very dearly and strongly and deeply by people. I think they would be angry and terrified with a position that is deemed to be very inclusive, very open and tolerant. I've been personally accused of not fulfilling my duty as a mufti because I was seen to not have objected in very strong terms to the repeal of 377A, for example. People considered that we have taken a very liberal, open view on homosexuality.
How do you ensure that religion, and Islam in particular, remains relevant to that process of a modernization in a fast-changing world?
There is an assumption that religions, in particular, if you look at Islam, is anti-change or anti-modernity. It's always a counter-current to progress and modernization. And I think that's a very inaccurate view of Islam as a faith. We have always taken the position that we should contribute to this conversation in a very constructive way.
Despite the views of the leaders, I think there are still some members of both communities, both Catholic as well as Muslim, that have a sense of homosexuality as being unacceptable. And so I'm finding it hard to get an understanding of what this inclusion can look like. That's why I've been told to come to this neighborhood on a Sunday evening.
They said, I don't want this amanah, it's too heavy. And I don't want it because I am afraid of it.
Every alternate Sunday, this group meets up in this mosque with Ustaz Muhammad Abdul Majid to reflect upon verses in the Quran. It is by invitation only. The 5 people attending are LGBT Muslims. It all started when Muis wanted to initiate an aftercare program for former inmates who are transgender. And this mosque agreed to host them, despite the possibility that other mosque-goers might feel uncomfortable. Since then, it has grown through word of mouth to include other LGBT Muslims.
Why was it important to have these sessions in the mosque, given that it can attract some controversy?
The significance of the mosque is symbolic. The point is that they don't feel alienated from the house of God.
What do you do in these sessions?
We don't put any expectations on them when they come. They have to dress as or anything like that. The idea is for them to come as they are. Their intention is to get connected to God. So what I try to do is provide that connection through reading of the text of the Quran.
Do people sort of think that it's a sort of conversion therapy, you know, that there's some way to fix them?
There has been instances where people ask me, like, what exactly am I doing with them? Because they think I'm trying to make them straight. I can't change their orientation. I can't change who they are. That's not up to me, no matter how much I try.
Are they looking for acceptance from the Muslim community?
Perhaps on some level, but what they want, first and foremost, because they come to the mosque, the acceptance that they are looking for is from God. That's the point of these sessions, like, to tell them that you already are accepted by God.
This really hasn't been an easy documentary to do. Trying to deal with the complicated relationship between homosexuality and religion. Listening to deeply personal stories of families struggling with acceptance. I'm grateful to everyone who shared their stories with us. Listening to them, I'm even more certain that there are no easy answers when it comes to LGBT issues. But I really hope this show can help those in a similar situation navigate the fault line. I'm Janal Puducherry. For the first time on national TV, I'm tackling a fault line that has broken up families.
My gay friends ask me, like, you can accept us, why can't you accept your daughter?
And shaken religious communities. Sexuality.
I want to stop being a gay, but it's not easy.
I wish I have the same kind of support and love from my family that I have from the public.
How deep-seated is the divide? Regardless of sexuality. On demand at cna.asia.
Sleep apnea and the dangers it poses.
There can be repeated dips in the oxygen level, sometimes down to as low as 60%.
A pillow that might help snorers.
They emit a magnetic interference field.
And how sleep, or the lack of it, affects our spinal health.
During your sleep, your body regenerates tissues, even rehydrate part of the spine.
On the Pulse, Saturday on CNA.
This May, traverse from the high octane of Asia's urbanisation to the calm realm of its natural wonder. Journalist Zhao Li rediscovers her roots in the world's K-pop capital and examines how the city continues to evolve.
There's this tension of old and new.
Deciphering South Korea, a rich and diverse world of outstanding wildlife in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Singapore Botanic Gardens, like you've never seen it before. 1 year in the gardens. A world without elephants or turtles. Who are the trailblazing environmentalists making it their life's mission to save these species? The mass extinction. This May on CNA.
Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity in diversity. It is precisely its diversity that made Indonesia what it is. Chandni Vatmani, CNA, Jakarta.
This is Singapore Tonight.
Good evening, I'm Dawn Tan. Tonight's top stories. The latest tightening of property curbs described as preemptive measures to dampen investment demand. Authorities also stressing is to prioritise Singaporeans who wish to own homes to stay in. The fresh measures already sending a chill through the market, with reports of foreign buyers getting cold feet. We find out if the impact will stick and whether it could have knock-on effects on the rental scene. Taking on the challenges in the post-pandemic world, calls to redesign jobs and push on with business transformation to help workers weather the uncertain economic outlook. A $2 million seed fund to help social service organizations expand their network and make philanthropy more sustainable. Also tonight, piracy and robbery against ships on the rise in the region, the Singapore Straits proving a hotspot, accounting for the majority of incidents in the past 3 months.
Also tonight, China warns the US and South Korea against provoking confrontation with Pyongyang. And still, the so-called Washington Declaration receiving some welcome from certain quarters in South Korea, drawing comfort from the pledges of nuclear deterrence.
And in your Asia Business Update, Singapore's industrial property prices up for the 10th quarter in a row, fueled by inflation. Plus, UOB posts strong earnings in the first quarter with net profits surging 67% on year. Singapore lender positive on regional prospects despite global headwinds. Singapore is taming its red-hot property market to give priority to locals wanting to buy their first homes. The additional buyer's stamp duty, or ABSD, was raised overnight. Foreigners are bearing the brunt, with a doubling in their home purchase taxes. Now, the move has surprised even property analysts here in Singapore, who are now bracing for a possible steep drop in home prices. Rebecca Mateo with more.
Living with luxury in this 3-bedder condo in Orchard comes with a 8 million Singapore dollar price tag. Foreign buyers have been snapping expensive properties